Welcome, everybody, to the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network. The Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show is brought to you by Dr. Fick Chiropractic. It is 415 Glen Springs Drive. The phone number is 513-851-8686. And Reggie, I called you Reggie, Joe. Joe, you were just talking about Reggie, so I got confused.
Yes.
But you know Dr. Fick and have some experience with him, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, Dr. Fick, definitely. I don't think if it wasn't for Dr. Fick, I wouldn't have continued to play 11 years. I know after about my third year, I sustained a pretty severe neck injury. And just with the help of the chiropractic services. I mean, I literally, if it wasn't for a chiropractor the next 8 years, I definitely wouldn't have finished playing, that long. That helped.
Yeah, I know definitely what you're talking about. My son got a torn ligament in his wrist, and he got hit 2 weeks ago in a game, couldn't even grip a ball. Went to see Dr. Fick all week last week, came out and threw for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, the guy is a miracle worker as far as I'm concerned. So make sure if you have any chiropractic needs in the Cincinnati area, you go see Dr. Fick. All right. Of course, as always, my co-host, Joe Kelly. Joe, we got a win to talk about finally.
Oh, man, it's a great week, man. Great game. The guys came and persevered. They went up to Cleveland. Cleveland they're not hitting on all cylinders right now, but it's still Cleveland. Still the Bengals and the Browns. They have a young team, have a lot of work to do. But I think for the most part, what we did was we ironed out some things. I think that the offense they're playing with more confidence. They're executing better. Like we said all season, I think the play of our offensive tackles played a huge part in why we were 0-3. And I see that they definitely made some changes. Big Andre Smith is back in there, and he's compared to how the offensive tackle play was the first 3 games. Andre Smith is looking like a guy that can really help save our season. They're rotating Fisher and Boye. So I think first and foremost, our skill guys, our running backs, our wide receivers, even the backup tight ends. Eifert has been out a couple of weeks, but all those guys, we knew from the beginning of the season like that. Our skill guys, we can match them up against any defense. Our skill guys are just as skilled as any other skill guys throughout the NFL. So we knew that offensive line was going to be crucial, and it didn't start off well. Second play, we got a fumble, and they rebounded from there, and defense did what they normally have been doing. They've been playing well, making some good plays, and as a result, we got our first victory.
All right, and we've got a special guest to help us celebrate that victory today. He's in my mind, one of the 2 greatest Cincinnati Bengals defensive players of all time. Him and Reggie Williams are the top 2 to me. Help me welcome to the show former Bengal legend, Ken Riley. How you doing, Ken?
Fine. How you doing, Mike? Joe? It's good to be
on
your
All right, so
show.
we'll start off with you, Ken. We'll talk a little bit about the defensive backs, Drake Kirkpatrick, Clayton Fedulum, William Jackson all played well. What's your take on the Bengals' young corners, especially Kirkpatrick?
Well, Kirkpatrick has a lot of energy. I got a chance to. I've seen him before, I think, a couple of times. As a matter of fact, he gave my grandson his cap and stuff. So he has a lot of energy, and he's very confident, and that's very, very important in being a good defensive back. You got to have some confidence in your skill. At the same token, you got to go out and get the job done. And I think he's a catalyst for the secondary back there, along with some of the other guys, older guys. But I think he's a young and upcoming player. William Jackson, he's a playmaker. I think he's a ball hawk. I think he wants to get the ball and do something with it. And I think all of them are. But the biggest thing is that they got to be able to communicate, work together, and support each other. And I think at that position, you got so many number 1 draft choices, very competitive. And I've always said competition brings out the best of any individuals. When you have that competitive nature back there, you're going to get positive results.
Yeah, and we talk a little bit about competitive nature, Joe. I think it was a huge difference seeing Vontaze Burfict in that defense.
We talked about it all season, Mike. I knew 55 is he's a boost for our defense. He would be a boost for any team, and he came out there, and I think just his presence alone provided that boost, provided that confidence, provided that bravado, that swag that they need in order to compete, successfully every week. They had been playing well without it. They even throughout the three losses, first three games, the defense played fairly well. But there was always one play against Houston. Deshaun Watson runs for a long touchdown. We've been giving up that one big play, Green Bay, 3rd and 10. The big play, playing the cover 2. I'll let Ken Riley talk about that call that defense the coordinator gave against Green Bay last week. But here comes Burfict. Burfict comes in, and defense they continue to play tough. Cleveland, they do have some good players. I think the defensive line played pretty well. They had an opportunity to go against Joe Thomas, who most considered the best, if not one of the best offensive tackles in the league, and I think they fared well. We can build off the loss of Green Bay, the win at Cleveland, and look forward to playing a pretty good Buffalo team this coming week.
Yeah. So, what was your take on Vontaze Burfict? Hitting the quarterback basically at the waist with his head on the side and getting penalized for it.
The kid, I think more than anything, he can't allow the refs to get in his head, or it's going to change him as a player. He's a physical player. He plays with a lot of motion. If you look at the things that he did at Arizona State, I think he has matured enough. He's been in this league long enough. He's been successful in this league long enough. I put him as one of the top inside linebackers in this league, and he just has to continue playing. I think right now, it reminds me of how they were doing James Harrison in Pittsburgh. It seems every time he hit anybody, to our eyes, it looked like it was a legal hit, and they would call a penalty. So Vontaze just has to keep on playing, keep on grinding, keep making plays, and no extracurricular stuff. And I think eventually, his play will speak for itself.
All right, now, Ken, I know a lot's been made of offensive coordinator Ken Zampese being let go and how much better the offense has played. I know you may not have went through a coordinator change, not sure there, but I know you did go through some head coaching change mid-season-wise in, 78, when Bill Tiger Johnson was let go, Homer Rice came in. What kind of effect does it have with a coach being fired mid-season?
Well, it could be plus and minus, depending on the type of problems you're having as a team. I think at the time that Coach Greg came on and we had Tiger Johnson and we had Coach Homer Rice coming in. Homer was a great coach, motivated, did a whole lot of things, but we had a young team at that particular time and we needed strong discipline. And not to say that Coach wasn't a strong discipline, but we needed somebody that they would respect. Not that they didn't respect him, but we need a strong, authoritative type person to come in at that particular time. And Coach Greg answered that. We've heard so many things about him when he was at Cleveland, so he came in with a reputation. So we always wanted to know what we were getting ourselves into. But he came in and he brought the discipline in there, and the talent was there, and he brought that will, that strong will that we got. We were tired of losing too. We wanted to win, so he was the missing piece that came in. And that's not to degrade any of the other coaches, but sometimes that type of authoritative figure was what we needed, and the results was positive from that.
All right, so let's go ahead and transition to the game. We got the Buffalo Bills coming in. They're 3-1, one of the surprise teams in the NFL, Joe. What's your take on the Bills so far this season?
I always thought the Bills had a good team. They have a really sound defense. They have some guys on the defense side of the ball that can get after the quarterback. I'm a huge fan of Adolphus Washington. He's a local kid from Cincinnati. I've been watching him since Mike Martin was coaching him at Taft. So I've followed his career at Ohio State, and now he's at Buffalo. I've had him over the house a couple of times. So I'm rooting personally for him. He's playing well, but overall their defense is playing well, and the offense is being solid. They're making plays when it calls for. I don't think they're just dominating defenses, but we're always going to have to. Their running back as one of the top running backs in the league. So we're going to have our hands full against the running game. I think we can and we should be successful against their pass. Defensively, I think it's a good matchup for us. But once again, I still think I don't know if. Eifert is going to be healthy this week, but I just think our skill guys, AJ Green. I don't know if whenever we get Ross out there and give the people a taste of that speed. Our running backs are coming into their own. Make some good plays and mixing is solid. You see Giovanni is making big plays every week. So I think this is a very pivotal game for us. Going into this game, we can come out 2-3. 2-3 is a lot better than 1-4. At this point, I think they can go in here at home, defend your home turf for once, and get back into this race, and carry this momentum that we have. Because and Kenny attested to it all the years that he's played and all the success that he had, in this league. Talent-wise, there's so many teams that have talent. It's not a huge difference on most teams talent-wise. You're talking about a minute distance between the one guy and the next, but it's how you gel with your guy. When you're winning, you have good momentum, and it's a feel. It's a feel. When we in 87, we were 4-12, and the next year, we had the best record in the league with the same team. We had a couple players here and there. For the most part, we had the same team, but it was a different approach. And I think these guys, have the talent. And I've seen the little spark back in Green Bay, a game they should have won. Even though it was Cleveland, they're 0-4, but they dominated Cleveland. They made some good plays. They were good offensively. They were good defensively. They were good on special teams. So when you're able to put all three components together, you have a very good chance to be successful in this league.
Yeah, and people talk about it's just the Cleveland Browns, but, Ken, it's the NFL, and any game you play, you can lose. And I was just impressed by the fact that they came out, they played as hard and well as they did. And I think that, as Joe said, this game, I think, is a turning point into the season.
Well, I think the Green Bay game was the turning point of the season, even though they lost. But you can see a resurgence of the offense, which makes it a big difference. But I think that if the offense can gel, and like I've always said, you got to have competition at certain positions. That running back is very competitive. That position is very competitive as well. And if the offensive line can, as they play together and gain confidence in what they're doing, I think the defense is going to be okay. I think they're just going to continue to get better. So when we get out to a good start, we can finish a lot of those games. I think we're going to be okay. The other thing, again, is camaraderie, team, that thing about just playing together, because, you can't win them all. But you got to have some leadership within the team on offense and defense. Somebody got to say, hey, man, let's pick it up and let's go. And like I think you said, Berkeley was one of those guys that did that. And you got to have it on offense and on the defensive side of the ball. And it's contagious. And once you get that going, you start winning. It's not, where you start out, it's how you finish. And I think right now the Bengals are on the verge of really being a very good football team.
All right, real quick, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a break, get a word from our sponsor, Dr. Fick, Chiropractic and Orthopedics in Cincinnati, Ohio. We'll be back right after this.
quick, you better call on Dr. Vic.
Firefighter Paul Pratt almost lost his job to lower back pain. Then he discovered a non-surgical back pain treatment called spinal decompression therapy. Spinal decompression works to ease pressure between discs, while pulse therapy helps to restore blood and nerve flow.
If you're in pain and you need help quick, you better call on Dr. Vic.
Call Dr. Vic now.
All right, guys, we're back on the Cincinnati Bengals weekly show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, brought to you by, of course, Dr. Fick, Orthopedic and Chiropractic in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. Of course, my co-hosts with me, two former Bengal legends, Joe Kelly, number 58, and number 13, Ken Riley. Let's talk about this. The Bengals-Bills, there is a history. I mean, two of the Bengals playoff wins were there. What game really sticks out in your mind from the Bengals-Bills past history when you played, Joe?
Well, there was obviously the playoff game on our Super Bowl run. They were a young and upcoming team, and that was the beginning of when they went to 4 Super Bowls. Right before they ran a string of going to four Super Bowls. Everybody's trying to get adjusted to Jim Kelly and the wide open offense that they had, and we had our momentum. We had the things that we were doing well, and we knew that we could match up with them and be successful with them. And it was a good game. We had some guys make some really big plays, and as a result, you win and you go to the Super Bowl. There's no that's what you play this game for. You don't really play. I don't know too many guys that go out and play for the individual accolades. Those come. They come when they come. But you go out as a team. And when your team is successful, and you guys win a lot of games, and the epitome is being able to go to the Super Bowl, and our team went. Kenny was on the team that they went, and unfortunately both times you came up a little bit short, man. But it's nothing. It was just thinking about it. As a NFL alum, just thinking about when Super Bowl time comes around, just those moments. Going to the Super Bowl, the games leading up to the Super Bowl, they all remain in the back of your head, and it was a great time. City was on fire. It was great being a Bengal fan, great playing for the Bengals. It was just a great time.
All right, and Ken, I assume for you the most memorable game is the 81 playoff game, but the game that really stuck out to me in the 81 season was the regular season game where you guys beat the Bills 27-24. I think it made you guys like 4-2. But that was the game that year where I really thought, well, this team can really do something now.
Well, I think that really early in the season was the Seattle game. I think when Turk Schonert came in, we were behind and came in and won that game, and I thought that was a turning point of our season. But during the Super Bowl run, the Buffalo game was big. Even the Freezer Bowl, like Joe was saying, going to the Super Bowl, and it was very cold, 59 below the wind chill factor, and guys coming out in short sleeve shirts. I was one of the guys.
Is that why you decided to live in Florida the rest of your life, Ken?
Yeah. Well, I know Dave Lampin, but we Pittsburgh had a history of doing that. I know we played up there, and it was cold as heck on that river, and they came out with short sleeve shirts on, and we said, wow, these guys are crazy. But it was a psychological thing. And that was the attitude that we had going in that game. San Diego came in and got off the bus from practice, and so cold we turned around and got back on and left. But, that was the psychological advantage that we had. And that was, it's like I said, it's an experience that you'll never forget. We were very close. We came back, didn't win it, but the experience was great and one you'll treasure for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
All right, so, Joe, let's look at this week's game. What do you think is the key to this game?
A key once again is our offense being able to execute. Our offensive line is going to come down to our offensive line being able to protect protect our quarterback and allowing at least to get into his progression. first three losses, it was tough. If his number one choice wasn't open, he was scrambling or under pressure and running for his life. So they have a very formidable defensive line that gets after the quarterback. So I think that's going to be the key to the game. I think our defense is going to match up well, run wise and pass wise. I think we can be successful. I think our defense, at the end of the day, once the season is over, I think we're going to be in the top 5 statistically wise. But I think our DBs continue to get better. Our William Jackson, I think he's going to continue to make plays. If our safeties can continue to make plays, our front seven, they're going to continue to play well. I think our linebackers, it was an extreme upgrade from last year. Those guys are making plays. Those guys are playing downhill.
Nick Vigil's playing really well. Had 11 tackles last week.
Oh yeah, he's coming downhill, man. Jim Haslett, the linebacker coach, I played for him on the Raiders. He's a linebacker himself, so he knows about linebacking, and he has these guys playing. Those guys are playing well, and they have their number one guy back in 55, perfect. And I think they're going to go out and as a unit. I think you go out as a unit when you have that confidence, when you have that swag. You're going to go out, and your goal is to keep them out of the end zone. And I think we can be successful with that. Once again, you look at the offensive side of the ball. I don't know if is Eifert going to play this week or John Ross. We're playing with two. Without
what I saw with Ross, it doesn't look like he's going to play because he's on the rehab field during practice.
Okay, well, yeah, you don't.
And Eifert, I never expect will play.
Yeah, that's too bad. It's too bad. It's
because the guy's one of the best tight ends in football when he's healthy.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. It's also you remember it's a week where being that the Bengals are now honoring some of their past players. I'm part of the group that is going on the field this weekend. Kenny. Kenny, you were the one of the honorees of the first game of the season, and me being a former player, playing 11 years, and staying in Cincinnati, and the fact that I played for 6 teams, and seeing all the things that all those other teams do for their alumni, and the ring of fame, and the Hall of Fame, and all that stuff, and you come to Cincinnati, and there's if you're a Bengal fan, Mike, there's no way that Ken Riley is not enshrined somewhere in that stadium. Lamar Parrish.
Well, Kenny should be enshrined with Lamar Parrish in the Pro Football Hall of Fame to start with.
Yeah. I think, and hopefully, I think that'll come. But I'm saying at least the Bengals.
I know it's always been a joke that they don't at least have a Ring of Honor there.
Yeah. So congratulations to Kenny, and I think one day Kenny definitely he's gonna put on that gold jacket, man. I'm a firm believer. Just based primarily just on what he did, as a Bengal and his stats compared to any cornerback, not only in Bengals but any cornerback in NFL history. So. It's going to be a fun weekend. Kenny, looked like you guys had some fun on the field, man, with some of your old guys, old teammates.
Yeah, it was really great, and it's a great honor to come back. It's like I say, this reunion. I wish I could have, we could all have gone at some point, rounding it out with everybody being there. But it's a great start. The Ring of Honor is something that Mike Brown is something that I know how he is about that and his thoughts on it, but at least it's a start, and I think it's been well received by a lot of the former players because some of these guys we haven't seen each other in a long time, so it was good just to come and fellowship. Lamar Parrish and I, we had a great time. We talked to the defensive backs along with Louis Breeden while we were there. And it was just great. A lot of guys looked at us in awe and said, wow, and one of the guys said, he's going to challenge my record, 65. I said, that's more power to you. That's great. Go for it. So I think you're going to have a great time, Joe. It was, like I said, it was just great to be back in the environment and to be with some of the guys that you sweat blood, sweat, and tears with. So it was great.
Definitely.
All right, so Joe, you picking the Bengals this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb, Mike. I'm going to say the Bengals going to defend their home turf. They're going to get back into this race with Pittsburgh. I think we're better than Cleveland. I think we're better than Baltimore. Once again, I think Pittsburgh had some issues, and they lost to Chicago a couple weeks ago. But I think our guys. Like Jim said, I like what they did at Green Bay. I was at that game. I just like how they play, how hard they play, and just came up short. But they took care of business last week, and I see them carrying that momentum and doing the same and defending home. And I'm looking for the score. I'm looking at a 28-14 game. Bengals defending a home turf.
All right. I think the Bengals win something like 17-16. I don't think there'll be a lot of points scored in the game. I think both offenses are going to have trouble against these two defenses. Ken, what's your pick?
I think if the Bengals don't go out and beat themselves, if they eliminate the costly mistakes that hurt them early in the year, and they put the ball into our playmakers' hand on whether it's the receiver position or the running back position, and if the defense continue to be good and we can finish out the game, I think the Bengals got a chance to win. I will pick the Bengals.
Yeah, and I think, Joe, I know it's early in the season, but if you just look at the schedule ahead, this is a must-win. They got to get this one, and then they got to go to Pittsburgh and win after the bye week to have a shot at this.
Yeah. I do. Like I said, talent-wise, we're there. I think, maybe you never know. There's always a point in the season that when you look back, you say, "Hey, that was a turning point. That game right there, or that." And it could be them changing, getting rid of Zampese, putting a new guy in there. It could be them putting Andre Smith in the lineup and replacing number 70. And you see how well they played since both those transactions occurred. So. Hopefully we can look back on the season, and at the end of the season we have enough wins where we're right at the top. And the thing is, in order to get to the dance, you got to have a ticket.
That's right.
So I think we can put ourselves in position to rebound from starting 0-3, and we get there. We get ourselves a ticket. I think talent-wise, if we're healthy, anything goes. We have a chance. There's a chance.
All right. Well, Ken, me and Joe definitely want to thank you for coming on the show today. It was great to have you here.
Yes, I really enjoyed it, and all I can say is let's go Bengals. I think we are back on track, so let's keep it going.
All right. Sounds good. Make sure you guys catch us every week on the Bengals Weekly Show. Last week our guest was Pete Johnson. The week before was Bob Johnson. Next week, not sure yet. Working on that right now, but I think I've got one of Joe's old teammates I'm going to surprise him with. But make sure you listen to all our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Joe Kelly, Ken Riley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends